Whatever the occasion, effortless elegance is right this way. Because Hilton brings you new ways to stay courtesy of the Nomad London. And it doesn't stop at award-winning dining in a space draped in velvet and illuminated by vintage chandeliers. No, this day goes beyond with unparalleled personalized service and attentive hospitality. Oh, and did we mention the Nomad London can be booked using your Hilton Honors points at Hilton.com? Hilton, for the stay.
A while ago, I watched the work of a mentalist, a mind reader, Asi Wind, and it was the most stunning performance. And I've had magicians as guests over the years, and inevitably they talk about Asi and the influence he's had on their lives. So I was excited when I heard that he's bringing his show, The Inner Circle, and actually David Blaine is going to be producing, and this is a big deal. He's never done this, and he's producing Asi Wind's Inner Circle at the gym at Judson, 243 Thompson Street. So, and Asi is an Israeli. I mean, a lot of people are curious if actors, singers, dancers, they start when they're little kids and it's like God-given talents. But I'm curious, what's the route for a mentalist? How does one become this? Is this a gift from when you were a child or what?
So I don't know if I can say it's a gift because I worked my ass to get to where I am. So maybe the gift is that I had this burning desire to pursue this. The gift is that I was relentless and I wanted to become as good as I could with this profession, which is magic, mentalism, and all the above. But I think that it did not come to me as a gift. It didn't come for free. I really had to work hard, and I still do, to make it as spectacular as I can. So I don't know if I can call it a gift.
But how did you even get hooked on magic or illusions? Did your family take you to see people work, or where did even this glint of an idea start with you?
Sure. I will make an analogy here it's easier to people to understand, because when we start as kids, we all paint and draw. We all like to hold crayons, and we're not judgmental about it. We just do it, and we love it. And somewhere along the lines, you start to think, you know what, I'm not good at it. And you start believing that you suck at it. And then you say, okay, I will never, touch another pencil or crayon in my life because I'm not good at it. And then you abandon it. And I found that a lot of kids, especially boys, at some point in their lives, they get a magic kit. It's a toy. They get a little toy and they play with it. At first they have fun, they enjoy it, they try it out a few times, and at some point they convince themselves that they're not good at it, and they just abandon it like anything else. I think that when I got my first magic kit, I was hooked, and I never stopped believing that this is more than a toy. That this is something that I can reach, touch people, and make someone's day. And the more I dealt with it, the more I investigated and researched about magic, the more depth I found. I found psychology. I found performance, public speaking. I found many facets of magic that are not very related to the technique or the secret of magic. It goes beyond that. So I think it started as a journey when I was a kid, and it just never stopped. Where to a lot of kids, it's just a very short episode.
And what you do is so original. People who don't get to see great magicians perform sort of think it's, finding a woman in a box or doing something, but it isn't that at all.
It's really it's a great question, because the truth is the bar for magic is very low. If you fooled me, you are a magician. And it's not true. It's not enough. And again, if we can borrow from other art forms, which will make it easier to understand, if somebody can sing in tune, doesn't make him a singer, correct?
Right.
Or somebody can hit the piano keys at the right sequence and whatever, and the right speed, or whatever it is. I'm not a pianist. But it's not enough to make him a musician. He needs to be able to use, let's say, music or painting or whatnot to touch people, to move them. So it's the same with magic. It's not enough, hey, look what I can do, I fooled you, you don't know how it works. I'm a magician. It's not. I use magic as a vehicle to communicate, to touch people, to move them. And it's hard. And unfortunately, some people have never seen a magic show live, so they have nothing to compare it with. So, yeah, I think it's, to get good at it, you have to go beyond just fooling people with a trick or whatever it is. It's a very difficult thing. It's very, very difficult.
And you have to be able to create an illusion, which is really, to me, what it's about.
For sure. And that's another problem, that a lot of magicians are not very creative. They go and, seek magic books and whatnot, which is legit. And they learn the tricks and they perform them verbatim. Where, for me, I always, when I look at anything, I say, okay, how can I make it me? What do I need to change about this so it fits me, it's custom for me? So that's where, my obsession with inventing magic comes from. I really love, tweaking it and thinking, like, I think that the author of the trick is where he stopped, but now it's my turn to pick it up from where he stopped and continue working on it. So that's where the invention comes.
Now, you are an Israeli, and what made you leave Israel to come here?
It's a long story. I'll try to give you the short version of it. It turns out the Israeli dream is the American dream. Everybody has a dream to come to America, and I talk in the show about my obsession with New York and how when I first came here, I walked down the streets of New York and I felt as if I stepped into a movie set. I recognized so much, more than I could ever imagine. I recognized things from sitcoms, from movies, and it felt majestic. Israel is wonderful, it's beautiful, it's a great, I feel like everybody should go and visit, it's wonderful. But for me, as a magician, the opportunities to pursue my career, to do magic, to meet my mentors was tremendous in the States. And it just opened so many doors that I said, I have to stay here. And again, in the show, I talk about the fact that, when I came here, I had nothing. I had $100, maybe. So, and
Did you have fans here?
Fans or family, you mean?
Fans, people, who were following you.
No, when I moved here, I was 21. Nobody knew who I was. I literally started at the very, very, very bottom. I did birthday parties. I did whatever I could get. I mean, the first thing I did was I went to the streets. I went to Washington Square with a deck of cards, and I performed to strangers on the street, and I barely spoke English, and I tried to earn a dime. It was, and it's funny, the struggle was a lot of fun. I remember that it never felt like a struggle, but, looking back, I say, how did I not go, insane? Because I had to start from zero. It's language barrier. It was a culture barrier. Everything was against me. And I loved it. I loved the struggle so much. It made me grow very quickly.
And who discovered you?
it's. I think it's a bunch of anecdotes, and each of them was pivotal and important for my career. Like the first thing I did, there's a show in New York called Monday Night Magic. It's an off-Broadway show, and that's where I started. And here's something interesting about the magic community. I can fly to Bangkok and by myself, and I put on Facebook, hey, I'm here in town. If there are any magicians who want to hang out, within an hour, I've had 22 magicians show up, and we went to a restaurant, and we spoke about magic and whatnot, and it seems as if we've known each other for years. Like the brotherhood of the magic community is unbelievable. So I think that's what happened when I came to New York. I made lots and lots of friends quickly because I met lots of people who were fascinated and passionate about magic. And it immediately, I was in a community, and it was a wonderful thing. So I would say Monday Night Magic was the first kind of community, a place where I could perform and grow. And then the second thing, there's lots of them, but I'll point out one more, is I walked down the street with my dog one day, and a friend of mine was walking with David Blaine, like we're crossing paths, and David Blaine and that mutual friend of ours was with him. And then he stopped and he says, oh, this is the guy I told you about, and he's pointing at me. You guys have a lot in common because you like the same type of magic. There's like lots of branches of magic, and a specific branch of magic, which I'll talk about later, is something that David and I really are passionate about. And David says, hey, what are you doing? I said, I'm walking my dog. He says, oh, well, come to my office after you're done. I said, sure. And I went to the office, and David and I just clicked. We ended up playing backgammon until 6 a.m. in the morning.
Oh, gosh.
So we became friends before anything. And David has been, I started working for David as a consultant and then as chief consultant, and the relationship was very hopefully beneficial to both of us, but definitely for me, because, I got to work on TV shows. I got to work on his first live tour. And I was exposed to a lot of great, entertainment that I was not exposed to before. So I will point those two things. There's a lot of others, but those two things are pivotal and important in my career when I came to America.
But you also love to tell stories.
I'm a Jew.
Yeah, you're an Israeli, I was going to say. Israeli, we didn't have a story.
Yes, stories are important. Here's the thing about magic, which is a lot of people might not know. I can't do magic. No one can do magic. So what I really do is I try to get people as close as possible to what seems like magic. And then I ask you, the audience, to take the final step to complete the illusion. So in other words, if you don't have a great imagination, if you don't have the willingness to see something spectacular, something magical, it's not going to happen. So you are the co-author of any trick I do. And that's part of what I love about magic, is that it really is a relationship between me and the audience, and we need both of us to create, what you would call magic or whatever it is. So that's something I really love.
Now, actors will, even very successful ones, take classes, courses, study, workshops. Is that the same with people who are in the illusion world or the magic world?
Sure. Yes, of course. As a matter of fact, in my current show, it's called Inner Circle, and it's called Inner Circle for a reason. It took me a long time to understand what the name of this show is, and then when it hit me, it was, of course that's the name. Because I am not working alone, because I stand on giants, on the shoulders of giants, and I had many, many mentors. So one thing that I really love to do is to paint. And during the pandemic, I had a lot of free time. So what did I do? I started painting all of my mentors. I made portraits of my mentors. people like Ricky Jay, Houdini, Blaine, of course, and then the less famous ones, Cardini, Juan Tamariz, who's a household name in Spain. So these people have mentored me directly and indirectly. So, I would fly to Spain to spend a week with the maestro, Juan Tamariz, who is one of the greatest living magicians, in my opinion, and in many people's opinion. And yes, I mean, we will sit down and you will say, you should do this. Maybe you could, definitely mentorship is a big part of my progression in magic. And I owe them a lot.
Well, you're doing great, and I urge everyone to go see Asi Wynn's Inner Circle. It's presented by one of the greats, too, David Blaine, at the gym at Judson through December 31st. And it's really extraordinary. Congratulations to you, Asi.
Well, thank you so much.
We'll talk again, I hope.
I
All
hope
the
so.
best. I'm Joan Hamburg, and you're listening to WABC. More after this.